Howdy folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am your host, the Mighty Bjorn, and today for you I have another Sprocket Community Steel video, and this is going to be episode 15 of Community Steel, so I'm actually surprised they've actually gotten as far as they did. But anyways, unfortunately this is not going to have the new update involved. This video and the next video will definitely be before the new update comes out. The update's actually taking longer than anticipated, so when I did episode 14 at the time, I had thought that that would be the last Community Steel before the add-on armor, add-on structure update, the rounded armor update, all that stuff. But, well, hashtag coming soon. Who knows when soon's going to be. So I got this video and at least one more that's going to feature tanks before the new update comes out. But anyway, let's dive on into today's community projects. And the first vehicle I am featuring here, the first tank, is from Kenshi 2900. And this is his BP-19 PMT-2 ET. Yeah, say that 5 times fast. But it is a 14-ton interwar tank armed with a 45mm gun. And it does maneuver actually quite fast. I'm also surprised about how well the armor actually held up when I was doing this, even though I didn't take too god-awfully many shots, but the shots I did take didn't really penetrate. And it's actually not a bad vehicle. The mobility to it is actually quite good. I'd rather like the mobility of this vehicle, and I rather like the look of it. It's kind of got that interwar kind of infantry tank look to it. The Soviet log is a little big, but yeah, I mean, it's just a little big for this tank. Other than that, I think the tank is actually quite good and performs quite well. So yeah, there's that. This is the first take of the video, folks. Let's dive on into the next one. And the next one is also from Kenshi 2900. And this is his T-43. It is a 34-ton tank, medium tank for the era, late war. And it has an 85mm gun. Now, the 85mm gun, even for late war, is quite potent. This thing penetrated everything I faced off against. However, that being said, the armor's really nothing to write home to mom about, or so I found. Now, of course, that could be placed on where the bots were hitting the tank versus actually the tank's armor itself. But it is also a medium tank, so I wouldn't give it a whole lot in the way of armor anyway. That being said, the mobility is actually fairly decent. Nothing amazing, nothing to write home to mom about, but it's no slouch when it comes to mobility. And it's a rather cool looking tank. Looks like it was heavily influenced by a T-34-85. Let's dive on to the next vehicle here. And this is the M3 Lee by Captain Deadlock. And it weighs in at 18 tons. And it has a 75mm gun. He's really got the 75mm gun jacked up on this too, because it is a 75mm gun with maximum shell size, which is 1.25 at the time of this recording. Let's spawn in a vehicle here really quick. I'm going to shoot at it. Now, for some odd reason, it came up as a late war tank. And, well, first off, the M3 Lee really isn't a late war tank, let alone even when I was playing this. It really didn't feel like a late war tank. Now, one thing I will admire is the fact that he did actually take the time and put armor plating around the top. And what he did was he used an oversized, he used the machine gun turret and oversized it to make it look like the actual 37mm turret that the M3 Lee had. And then he put the 75mm gun in the side sponson. And it's actually quite decent. That being said, one thing that is absolutely hilarious, if you didn't take notice, that when you fire the 75mm gun, the right side cocks back a little bit. So it is definitely a forceful shot when it fires. Let's take a quick shot here at this. Oh, wait a minute. No, I think I had problems training the gun on it. Yeah, not well armored. Anyway, the next vehicle is the RC-37S by German Train. And oh my god, for once, German Train made an actual legit tank. Or at least something that looks like an actual, honest-to-God, legit tank. It is a late war tank at 19.5 tons. It is on the heavier side of the light tank. And it is armed with a short-barreled 50mm gun. The gun does okay. It could do better. Tank's mobility, though, is actually rather good. I'm quite pleased with how mobile the tank is. Now, the turret traverse is weird. The turret traverse feels like it's got a slow acceleration but a high turning speed. But still, it's a rather cool-looking tank, and it does remind me of some of the French interwar tanks, to be honest. The next one is also from German Train. This is the RC-77 from German Train, and it is 14 tons, so it is a light tank, and it looks a lot like an infantry tank. And once again, it's a late war tank. It's armed with a 58mm gun, so it's got a bit more of a powerful gun to it. And oh, I managed to get stuck again. Oh boy. If I wasn't old and shit. Now, you do have to admire the engine deck on this. I admire the engine deck on this. That's great work he did to the engine deck. It looks, just the way it looks realistic. Too bad that the gun barrel clips through the engine deck. The next tank from Novercalis, another returning tank designer, is the Dreadnought. And this is a 28.24 ton early war tank with an 88mm gun that definitely feels heavily influenced by the Warhammer 40k Bane Blade. So actually, it probably wouldn't take too god-awfully much work just to make this thing bigger and turn it into a Bane Blade. And it rather looks awesome. It's got pretty effective armor. It's surprisingly, for its weight being a 28-ton tank, is actually quite mobile. And it's armed with an 88mm gun. The shell drop kind of sucks a bit, but when it comes to penetration power, there's not going to be much in early war that's going to bounce shots from this thing, I would imagine. Maybe if someone designs some kind of crazy super heavy that's really thick, but otherwise, I don't imagine there'd be too much else. And I would definitely have to say this is a cool tank. I mean, I don't know. It just gives off a whole Warhammer 40k vibe while still also feeling like some type of like real legit tank in the same process. And the next one we got here is the AMS 45 from Watchmen, another returning designer. And this is his 46-ton tank. So it's in the heavier side, nearing 50 tons. And it's got armed with a 100mm gun, and its gun depression is really good. I do have to say that much. And he even took time to model in essentially the smoke launchers, which unfortunately, if you get shot there, they're fuel barrels, so you're going to get fire on the side of your turret. But he actually even took time to model the oscillating look of the turret. And the mobility is actually rather good. I mean, it feels like a French heavy tank. I doubt it's actually got the armor protection of a true legit heavy tank, but it's got, medium tank mobility while having heavy tank firepower, kind of leaning towards that more main battle tankish type of tank, if you will. And here, we'll give a couple rounds out of the gun here on these Centurions. So as you can see, the tank is quite effective. And the turret traverse speed is actually rather good as well, I've noticed. So it's a really awesome design from Novercalis. The final design I have for you today is the LMTK 1990 from Substep. And this is his 20-ton, well, actually quite fast, 90mm armed, and very decent armored tank destroyer. Yes, folks, it's a tank destroyer. It's a casemate tank. And I was actually surprised at, actually how good the vehicle was. It is an early war vehicle, but just everything that seemed to shoot this thing just seemed to bounce. It's got really decent gun depression. And the 90mm gun is actually quite effective. I'm just quite shit with accuracy. Other than that, it's actually rather good. At least once I can actually hit something with it. And that's kind of the issue of when I'm trying these tanks out. Don't quite have all the niches down of these tanks yet. Such things as how they accelerate, how good the armor is in different areas, and even how good the gun is. Now I am struggling here a little bit against this T-34 76, and that's actually my T-34 76, and I'm just bouncing shots off of it, unfortunately. But that being said, the K90 is also bouncing shots from that T-34 76, so it is actually, they're both quite effective armor-wise, and well, the T-34 76 just didn't hold up to the task. Now did it? But yeah, it's a rather cool design from Substep. Once again, another returning tank designer. A lot of returning tank designers in this one. Kenshi's about the only new one, or at least recently send me some vehicles to feature in a Community Steel video. But anyway, folks, if you want to see your designs in my videos, send them to me on Discord with some screenshots. I really like having screenshots, so I know what I'm looking at. I know what vehicles I'm going to even decide to look at even before I start looking at vehicles, and also so I know who to give credit to for the different vehicles, pretty much, so I know what vehicle belongs to who. Anyway, folks, I'm going to wrap it up at that for this Community Steel video. There's going to be another Community Steel video coming out soon. So, folks, if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so and hit that notification bell so that way you know when the next Community Steel video goes live. But anyway, folks, hopefully you all enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for tuning in, and have yourself a wonderful day.